was telling us yesterday that he still wants to see a lot more out of the linebackers, and it might be a case of guys just not always doing their job, trying to do other people's jobs, sort of getting out of their gaps. I mean, are you seeing pretty much the same thing from that inexperienced group?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much sums it up. I think they understand, fundamentally what they need to get done. But there's a lot on them, and when you don't have an experienced group there, as far as getting the fronts checked the right way and making sure they're right in the right coverage adjustments as well, all that stuff takes some time. But yeah, we need to see more of them. And then I think too, the other thing we want to see just more of is them, having the ability to finish plays more consistently. They're putting themselves in position to finish, but they got to do it just more consistently.
Are you seeing DeMar Hamlin kind of turn a corner from just being out there and like reacting to the game to actually starting to make plays?
Yeah, no, I think he's picking it up as far as mentally what he's supposed to be doing, and he's a really instinctive football player. So you kind of see that starting to take over as he becomes more comfortable with the system, with the scheme, and those types of things.
Did you anticipate the growing pains this year? When you were thinking about things back in the spring, well, the young guys you had put in their key spots.
Yeah, I think you always. I think you have an awareness of kind of how it's going to, potentially could go. But you never know how guys are going to respond either. And I think just the more reps those guys get, the better that it gets, and the more confident they get. But the good thing is, you got a lot of young guys that have taken a lot of reps. I think as a defense, we're starting to kind of move in a positive direction, in terms of guys really kind of understanding what they're supposed to be doing, understanding how it's supposed to be done. It's unfortunate that we had a couple injuries that we did this past weekend, but it's another opportunity for some younger guys to step up and get some valuable reps, at multiple positions.
Do you think as of late some of these young defensive backs have responded over the last few games?
Yeah, I do, and I think that they just again, you can't sacrifice anything for the reps, that you get, the live reps, and practice reps are different for sure. So being out there, understand what it takes to finish, understand what it takes to compete for deep balls and compete. We had a lot of pass breakups. A lot of those are really good things, encouraging things to see in the back end.
Motley's not young, but he hasn't played much this year, obviously. Mm-hmm. How intrigued are you to see how he does, sort of playing a full game, replacing Avante at a pretty crucial spot?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think coming in, when he's coming into fall camp, we thought that he had a chance to be one of the starters. And obviously, through the injury, he didn't get that opportunity. But I don't know, he's excited and fired up to get a chance to go.
It seemed like in the spring, he was one of the guys that we talked about had taken a step forward. Do you feel like he's sort of back to that level, after having gone through the injury and now coming back?
Not quite to that level, no. He just doesn't have as many reps as he needs right now. Just, as far as clean up some of his technique and some of the things that he does in press coverage. But I think he can get there, and this will be a good game for him to be able to get some more reps, and we'll need him again the next 3 games on the stretch.
What kind of challenges is Virginia?
They're a big challenge. I think they do a really good job as far as multiple formations, multiple personnel groupings. They're going to always try to find ways to out-leverage the defense. They do a really good job of getting the playmakers who they want to get the ball and having little personnel groupings for them to get the football. We've got to do a great job of communicating in the back end, making sure we're not turning anybody loose, we're in the right coverage checks. All those things are imperative to our success. And then, it always begins and ends with stopping the run up front. And I think their O-line plays really hard. I think the running backs run hard. And the quarterback has some experience.
Have you seen major improvements in the communication in your back end?
I have, yeah, I have for sure. Just I just think the multiple everything we do is driven off of formations and getting ourselves in coverage checks based on formation. And when you're a young guy and you're trying just to learn how to play your position, you're not necessarily always consumed with what the offense is doing. The more comfortable that you get with your position, you become a little bit more attuned to what the offense is doing. It allows you to get into the right coverage check, and those are huge responsibilities for younger guys. And a guy like Jordan, even him not playing much, it took him a while to get back into. So those things have definitely improved.
There was a play, I think it was a third down, where Salim made some sort of signal or audible and then ended up breaking up a pass. Is that something where, as a coordinator who's working with a young middle linebacker especially, maybe you're even happier with him that he went out and made the right check than it was that he made a nice athletic play on the ball afterwards?
Yeah, that sequence of events, The route that you're talking about was a route that they ran it on an earlier third down, the same exact route, and it was actually the same exact coverage. And we got beat on third down, and then he came back, we went to the sideline, we adjusted it out, and even the star, Dennis Briggs, was involved in that play too. So on a crucial third down, you see a guy learn from his mistake, learn from an adjustment, and then go out and execute it the right way. And we could have helped him by being in a better coverage, but he did it exactly how he was supposed to do it, and we ended up getting off the field, and that was a huge time in the game.
Through 3 games, how have you sort of evaluated the way the nickel look has played out for you?
I think it was imperative to our progress as a defense. I think after the Oklahoma State game, as you guys know, we went and looked at, hey, what can we do here to help ourselves out? And I think the nickel has been really, really good for us, getting a fit defensive back, and a guy like Theron Coleman, a guy like Motley, who can cover. It just adds a different dimension. It kind of shrinks the field down a little bit, and it's helped us, especially with some of these RPO teams and some of the teams that want to do spread us out in 10 personnel sets, with no tight ends in the game.
Do you wish you had played more nickel in the Oklahoma State game?
Yeah, I do. I wish we would have. Yeah, I wish we would have. At that point in time, and it's all. It's not just a decision based on myself or Pat or anybody like that. A lot of times it comes down to, Theron Coleman wasn't ready. We didn't have a nickel that we felt was ready to take a lot of game reps, and Motley was down at the time, and so you kind of make decisions on personnel based on what you have. But we started. Going back to what you guys asked about earlier, the DBs have started to develop. We've got some younger guys that are starting to take more reps, like Theron Coleman and DeMar Hamlin, and Bryson Garner's taking a lot of reps. And so now you try to find places for those guys to play and get your best guys on the field. And I think that was a huge deal for us.
Is that even extending back beyond this season, like last year, the year before, where you just didn't feel like you had that kind of depth to do something like that?
Just not a guy that we felt like, you're always trying to put your best 11 out on the field, and every time you take a guy off, for example, if you take one of your linebackers off the field and he may be your best 11, and you put a lesser player out there, although it may be better schematically, is it really better for you in the grand scheme of things, as you look at the big picture? So we just felt like, hey, some of those younger guys are really developing, they're coming along, they deserve some reps, and it was time to kind of implement that, and I think it helped us for sure in the Syracuse game in the first half, and it's helped us. It'll help us, I think, in the future too.
I apologize if you.
No, you're good.
I got here 5 minutes early, and
Right.
I'm still 10 minutes late.
Party time.
A couple of those corner blitzes.
Yeah.
You send on when you call something like that. Is that a long couple of seconds for you, of hoping they don't read it and take advantage of the guy that you left open, or you're kind of holding your breath the whole time those guys are rushing in there?
It is, and I think the one thing we try to do is we do try to be real strategic as far as when we call those, and I think when teams they have a tough time telling when the pressures are coming, and a lot of it is surprise stuff. So yeah, you do, because especially if you have multiple threats over there to that side, you're putting a lot of pressure on that boundary safety who's getting over the top and kind of playing his outside third over there. So you do, and it's not feast or famine completely, but it was nice to see some of those guys land, a couple of them in some big situations for us.